unwanted sexual touch or advance, I guess, too. I would count that. My story is not told by the set of events that went on and what other people did. I tell my story. It kind of depends on where you start counting, I guess. The earliest instance of like being touched in a way I didn't want that I can remember, I was probably 12. And then anything more serious, I was 16. Truthfully, it's shaped a lot of who I feel like I am now, and kind of where my focus is. I would say like my passion now is violence against women and doing something to prevent that and educate people about that. Yeah, I think most of what I experienced wasn't quite so blatant. The first time that I was raped, there was what we call like an outcry. I was clearly not okay. I was not physically, like I probably looked all right. I was bleeding, but I had a panic attack. I went to my best friend at the time. She like held me really tight to where I could feel her breathing and ended up matching her breathing and took me aside to talk, and the message I got essentially was, suck it up. I spoke out and was quieted back down. The fact that it was my boyfriend made things really complicated because it was like, you know, no one attacked me, like no one drugged me. I could have fought maybe, you know, and I didn't, and things happened over and over again, and I didn't break up with him, I didn't leave. Then there was a lot of blame because it was like, well, if it was that bad, then why'd you stay? Since then, I've gone through, I'm a counselor on a rape crisis hotline, and sort of the mantra is listen, believe, support. People's tendencies are to ask a lot of questions or want to know the details around like what happened and why, and that why can get hurtful really quickly. Why did you go up there with him alone, or things like that. And you might not think about it because you're not telling anyone like it's your fault. But by asking these why questions, you're asking someone to think about, yeah, well, why did I do that? And then all of a sudden it's on them again. Action at that point is difficult because, I mean, quite simply put, you know, a sexual assault takes away someone's autonomy and any kind of decision-making power that they have for themselves. And so for someone else to take over the situation and make decisions for them, before they can get their bearings and decide what they want to do for themselves really just takes that power even further away from them. Asking questions in the form of, you know, what would be most helpful right now, or what would you like to do, you know, can I do anything? Those are okay questions because they're not about the event, but they're about next steps that are very gentle, and make sure that whatever happens is decided by the person who just disclosed. You know, I think if I had had more confidence in my right to a voice, things would have looked different, and if someone else had recognized the value in my voice, maybe they would have listened more. Growing up and being touched and talked to and things like that in ways that really made me feel like my body wasn't mine. I think that's a pretty common experience for women, especially when puberty hits and your body starts changing. Like, it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the eyes of others and the hands of others. And sort of the things I learned to do when situations were difficult or I was afraid, which was make myself as small as possible and hope that that if I was quiet, that it would pass. The particular relationship where I feel like was kind of the center of everything, and there, you know, it wasn't just like a one-time penile vaginal like sex rape. You know, there were other things that happened and continued to happen. And then post that relationship, obviously relationships were complicated for me. Intimacy was very complicated and things did not get better for a while. Just figuring things out and understanding where I was blaming myself and where I needed to forgive myself and forgive my 16-year-old self who may have very much felt like an adult at the time but was a child, and it took me some time to realize that. And I did not disclose to my mom before I knew that whatever she said and whatever she questioned, and in whatever way she reacted, I would be solid in what I believed happened, and what my part in it was. It's still hard, and people say dumb things and it still hurts, but at the very least, like, my belief of who I am and what I've been through and who I am because of that doesn't get taken down anymore. For survivors, it's really just, hopefully at this point they've heard it several times, but that idea of, like, it's not your fault. Like, I think you can't hear that enough, because it takes a while, like, just hearing it versus internalizing it and really believing that for yourself.